There are many different ways to find your voice and speak up in difficult conversations. Now let's apply this more broadly. What do you say when you witness a racial incident? Step into another kind of personal accountability and consider, what is mine to do?
So let's switch things up a little bit. These are things that you would say if you heard something, but you witnessed something that was racially problematic. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a real incident that happened to me, and I want to see your what is mine to do. That's where we are. What is mine to do? I actually had gotten on an airplane to go work for a client. I'm kind of chatting with the two guys that are next to me, two white guys, and we hit it up. You know, we even end up exchanging business cards and looking at photos of family, and really had a good vibe. We get off the plane and we all realize we're going to the limousine stand. Now, I use this limousine company all the time. And the three of us realized our names were literally side by side at the limousine stand. And as I get up to my limousine driver, the one in the middle literally does this. I need to see your identification. The other two limousine drivers didn't ask these other guys for their identification. And it was clear that everybody heard and saw what just happened, and left me standing there like, wait, what? What is mine to do? What would you do in a moment like that? What would you say? What would your go-to statement be?
I might not say anything, but I would call the limousine company. I would maybe call HR and explain to them what happened.
Okay, thank you, Susan. I see some other hands popping up. I'm gonna come to Darren and then Devontae. Yeah, Darren?
I think instinctively I would say really loudly to the other limousine driver, do you need to see my ID too?
And I like that. Devontae, you got a different thought?
I'll be like, I see you asked him for his ID, but you didn't ask us. Is there a reason behind that?
Probably just bluntly say, hey, like, what's your name?
So you're calling attention to it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, what's your name? I'm loving this, by the way. I'm loving the allies that I have in the room. We'll take one more, Jackie.
I think my first instinct would actually be check in with you.
Did everybody hear that? Say that again, Jackie.
My first instinct would be to check in with you.
A lot of times when we hear problematic statements or we see problematic things, our first instinct is to correct the person that did the wrong. But my first instinct should be to give attention to the person who was wrong. And there's several ways to check in. Jackie, how might you check in with me?
Make eye contact, and I might even go, ouch.
Why is that important? Please, Mario, why is it important to check in with the person?
Because that validates your feelings.
Yes, to validate what I might be feeling. Absolutely. Steve, go for it.
There could be outlying circumstances that were discussed beforehand.
Yeah, we don't know. We have no idea. And have you heard the term white savior? What do you know about being a white savior? Jackie?
Because I don't want to put you in the position of being further harmed
Yeah.
by me stepping in to try and rescue you.
So picture this. You decide to take on the fight, and I'm sitting there thinking, I still got to get to where I got to get to. You've just elevated this thing. That may make it worse for me. Or I may be saying, this isn't your fight. I got this.
I'm just wondering, as you say that, being in that situation where now you're put on the spotlight, it's already an awkward space. But now there's a bunch of attention on me that I didn't ask for.
I may not want you to check in or not. Kevin, I really like you saying that. So maybe if I'm one of the friends or the people that witnessed it, maybe I don't come at it from the approach of what this person's harm is. You just said something that offended me.
Right.
Yeah, so so now I'm not putting the attention on the black person or the person that was offended. You just offended me. And now I may still be looking at them like, can I go on? Should I go on? Because I don't want to make things worse. It's not as easy as it always sounds. These things happen like that. And you find yourself later thinking, should I have said something? That's why it is so important to have a go-to phrase.
Right.
It buys you some time to think about, do I need to make eye contact? Do I need to say something? Do I need to get out my identification? It also would have, in that situation, would have given the limousine driver time to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm so sorry. What did I just do? So let me tell you what happened. The two guys got in their limousines and left. And I felt a certain way about my two new friends. What kind of relationship do we really have? So then I'm a big boy. I looked at the limousine driver and said, I'd like your identification. And he said, oh my goodness, Mr. Fordham, I'm so sorry. I said, no, it's too late. I'd like your identification. He gave me his identification, his number and everything. And then we got in the limousine and he turned on the music. I sat in the back and then I said, please turn off the music. I'd like you to be just as uncomfortable as I am. And we rode in 45 minutes in silence. And the whole time I was upset with him, but I was more upset with the people that didn't do anything. What is mine to do?
After we did this workshop in August, maybe the next day, I went to Publix and I thought, okay, did I just see something? But this was fresh in my mind. And instead of me kind of charging in to say something, I was like, let me just look to a woman of color who I think was potentially offended. And I looked to her and then she engaged in the conversation and the two of them ended up laughing. And so it was like such a wonderful reminder and caution. It's because of taking my cues from that person and not from the assumptions that I'm making.
I get how it's up to the person being offended. They need to be in control or have the opportunity to be in control, which that's my learning moment. I never thought about that.
Love that, Tim.
Right.
We often use the word agency. You want the person to have agency to be able to make their own choices about what happens next. Then that's the whole purpose of the workshop. Oftentimes you want somebody to be in a relationship, to be in conversation, to say, hey, that's not right. That didn't happen. I'm not saying you fight my battle, but I would like to know that you saw what happened. You saw what happened. I'm not alone.
I've had scenarios where someone will say something and I sometimes look around to be like, did anyone else hear that? It's not even that person has to do something, but that maybe they would. Maybe that if something needs to happen, they're going to have your back. The saddest part is that they may not have even realized what was going on. And that's the frustrating part, that so many Black people, especially when the George Floyd stuff happened, people were just like, what? We're like, this has been going on forever. And it's like the frustration. So just to get validated is so important. So you don't feel like you're crazy. You're just making this up. Am I really making this up that they did this? Because you start to question your own, lens even.
What I love about even just looking at the person, the offended party, it's its own start of the conversation, right? Because if I don't look to you, then I don't have a prayer of having any idea, what to say or not say. Maybe I'm going to goof up. Maybe I'm going to do it wrong, right? But it takes courage. It takes willingness.
And we've said this before, time and time again. It's a workshop about conversation. So if I'm choosing to get involved, how will I get involved? What is mine to do? That's the question.
What's your biggest learning for yourself after hearing Walter's airport limo story? What's a go-to statement, question, or gesture to have ready? In video 15, here's your last exercise. To reconcile about a past racial event. Gift yourself a sense of closure or name a breakthrough. Begin with part 1 of 2. To access the series, click on the playlist.